Saints win 13-6 over the Jacksonville Jaguars this past weekend in 45 seconds or less. What is your overall thought on the game?
Well, the offense could have done a lot better. But then again, Jacksonville is known for their very stout defense. Defense really stepped up. Third game in a row holding opposing offenses to under 300 yards total offense. Good team effort. Still a little work to be done.
All right. Good analysis. I would have to agree with you there. Defense really stepped up. Offense struggled a lot. But I think part of that has to do, yes, Teddy Bridgewater, I know people will point this out, was off on his throws a lot. But, it was a very, still legit Jags. Well, let's move on. Let's move on to the offense and continue working there, I guess. Now, as we said, Teddy Bridgewater was off a little bit. Still 26 for 34, 240 yards of touchdowns, no interceptions, and still had a QBR. I didn't put it up there, but he had a QBR of 98.
Which is not bad at all.
Considering it wasn't terrible.
It's not terrible. Considering how the game went, Alvin Kamara's numbers were a lot lower than what we expected, but I actually kind of expected it in this game. Alvin Kamara was questionable throughout the week he had a sprained ankle, but he was active for the game. Michael Thomas, still a quality game. He had 8 catches. I want to say 89 yards. Off of 8 catches.
Yeah, 8 catches, 89 yards. Jared Cook actually stepped up. He looked a lot better. Just 3 catches, but 37 yards.
And second game in a row, he caught a touchdown.
Caught a touchdown for the Saints, and it ended up being the only touchdown the Saints had. So, more production from Latavius Murray. Murray did have a touchdown run called back because Michael Thomas held.
So, offense needs to work a little bit more on the discipline.
They did have fewer penalties. So, there were fewer penalties, but the penalties they did have at times were more costly. Like Thomas holding, obviously, on that touchdown run by Latavius Murray, which would have put the game a little bit more out of reach considering how both teams' defense came to play last.
Well, the Saints will have to work on that. Next weekend they're going to Soldier Field against a much more lethal defense in the Chicago Bears. So, that's something the Saints really have to work on. They have to really work on as far as fewer mistakes, and they have to be a little sharper.
The defense arguably is the main reason why the Saints won this past week, and they have been just outstanding the last 3 games. Pass defense has really improved. Marshawn Lattimore got an interception. I think, didn't we? Yeah, Demario Davis and Eli Apple dropped 2, and then Cam Jordan had 2 sacks.
Well, here's something that really impressed me was Cam Jordan going against Jawan Taylor, who was a I believe was a second-round draft pick for the Jaguars. He had Jawan Taylor flying I want to say it was 6 inches into the air with just one hand. I was watching an analysis from Brian Baldinger, but the defense stepped up 3rd game in a row, holding opposing offense to under 300 yards. Well, under 275 yards to be exact. So defense continuing to step up.
I really like how this defense is going. It is it has picked up the slack for the offense in some of these games, especially I want to say the Dallas game and this last one with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But ironically, I want to sit here and say Drew being out seems to have been arguably the best thing to happen to this defense.
I have to agree with you on that. Just, knowing that we're not going to get that same offensive production out of Teddy Bridgewater, he's done a pretty decent job. It has really given the defense motivation to want to do better.
Yeah, and they're playing at a championship level. It's been a while since that Saints defense has been this good.
And the front 7 has really come alive, and they've really answered the call. This is probably the best front 7 in the league right now.
Not ready to start calling them Dome Patrol 2.0, but they're not far from it.
Hey, they're on their way.
All right, I would have run out of... Yep, there we go. All right, on to comparing the two teams. So we got a game comparison: Saints versus the Bears. Offensively, they compare. Um, the Saints are scoring 21.3 points per game, 17.4 for Chicago. Saints are allowing 20.3 points per game, and Chicago's 13.8. That is not really, really, it doesn't really reflect the Saints' defense and their progressions over the last few weeks. They did allow, so what, 28 points against Houston, and then Seattle, they scored, I want to say, 3 touchdowns late in the fourth quarter. And again, against Tampa Bay, the Saints defense has struggled to close games, which they finally had a game where I think they closed the game from start to finish. Okay, so give them credit for Dallas too, but they have had some trouble closing out games a few times this year.
But I mean, we're starting to see the Saints get a little better. I mean, I think against Jacksonville, we saw the Saints' confidence go up as far as closing games were concerned. Now going to the Chicago game, I mean, we're going against a team that has, like I said, Chicago has one of the best defenses in the league, but for good reason. I mean, the defense has had to carry the Bears in a few of their games this season. We're not really seeing the chase down from last year. I mean, the offense has really taken a few steps back, especially since trading Jordan Howard. Mitch Trubisky is out with injury. And Chicago's defense is going to definitely be tested against the Saints offense.
Right.
Though we don't have Drew Brees, the Saints can be still a formidable offense under Teddy Bridgewater.
And Bridgewater really has just been a game manager. And I will tell you why I'm not exactly disappointed with Teddy Bridgewater is because he's exactly what I thought he would be.
And no, I mean, he's not giving up the ball. I mean, he
doesn't turn the ball over, and that's important.
That's where I'm definitely impressed with. I mean, he threw an interception against Dallas. He threw an interception against Tampa Bay, but he's not super careless with the ball.
No, and two of his interceptions haven't exactly been his fault. They've been reflections off of various receivers. I want to say Jared Cook and Alvin Kamara.
So I mean, you look at it, having a guy like Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, him being able to manage a game is the reason why the Saints are 4-0 under him.
Yeah, well, that in defensive performance.
Got to hand to the defense. So it's definitely going to be a defensive battle at Soldier Field against a very tough Chicago team. Yes, their offense is not where it needs to be. There's a lot left to be desired out of the Chicago offense, but
I think this is actually a very good matchup for offense versus offense too, because the Bears' offense just is not very good either.
They're not.
All right, so like I said, Chicago this week, and then it's the Cardinals, which some people think could be when Drew Brees might come back, but if not, then it should definitely be for the Falcons following a bye week after the Cardinals game.
And actually, this Cardinals team can be a team that can probably, Cardinals surprised me last weekend when they defeated the Falcons.
No, sir, no. The Falcons are finding ways to lose games and just are horrible
come
execution.
On, this is a Cardinals team with a lot of holes offensively and defensively. Yes, they got Kyler Murray, but
their 2 wins are over Atlanta and Cincinnati, and then they tied Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, but Detroit has improved greatly over the past year. I mean, Detroit should have won. I mean, let's be honest. Detroit should have defeated the Packers on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But however, Detroit has shot themselves in the foot to the point where they can lose a game like that.
That is true. But they did go to Philly and knock off the Eagles. Come on now.
So the Cardinals, I don't expect that game to be close. Now, I'm not going to guarantee nothing because anything can happen in NFL or on football in general, really. But it's not the stiff competition that we should see from like Chicago.
And as far as the significant amount of improvement that we've seen out of this Saints defense, I don't really see the Cardinals moving the ball up and down the field effectively like they did against Atlanta.
Yeah, and if Drew doesn't return for the Arizona game, then he should definitely return for the Atlanta game, and that's home in the dome with Drew returning for his first game.
And a defense that that's
So
definitely taking no prisoners.
600 passing yards, 8 touchdowns. Make up for some lost ground.
Oh yeah.
You know, realistic numbers.
Oh Atlanta, like this season's only gonna get worse. You think it's bad? You know it's bad when you have one of those automatic kickers, a guy who's been pretty much clutch for the past 20 years, missed an extra point against Arizona and lost you the game. That's how Atlanta season's going. That's pretty much a sum up.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about NFC South, seeing how we're on this topic. So the Panthers beat the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers have now lost 2 in a row after winning 2 in a row.
Oh, by the way, Jameis Winston threw 5 picks against Carolina.
Let's talk
about that. He gave the ball. 6 turnovers were on him. Basically he fumbled the ball twice, but they got turned over once, and then he threw 5 picks. 5. So Tampa, you think it's time for y'all look for a new quarterback? I mean, the season keeps going the way it's going. You might want to go ahead and look in the draft. I mean, there's quite a few quarterbacks coming out, after the season. So y'all might want to look at a new quarterback. Just saying. And also, do you think it's time for Carolina to trade Cam Newton?
Yeah, they are officially. No, I'll take that back. No, they should let Cam Newton come back and play and start losing games for the Panthers again.
You think the Panthers front office is that dumb?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because Kyle Allen has been balling for the Panthers this season. I mean, it was something that kind of expected. I mean, after I saw how Kyle Allen played last season, late, and so I was expecting a little bit of success from Kyle Allen, but not this much success. I mean, the Panthers are doing an amazing job. They're 4-2. They're keeping pace in the NFC South. And Christian McCaffrey is playing some of the best football I've ever seen. So, I mean, if Kyle Allen keeps this up, I don't see Cam Newton getting back on the field. Even when he comes back from injury, I don't see him getting back on the field if Kyle Allen keeps up this type of production.
Yeah. Okay, so that about wraps up this week's episode of our Saints coverage on New Orleans Fanatic Fever. We look forward to next week, hopefully after yet another win. Saints can go to 5-0 without Breeze. That would be fantastic. Follow us on Facebook and check out our website, aasportsnetwork.com. Thanks for tuning in. We hope to see you next week.